Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Agile Genesis broadcast. Today we have Marcelo, the wizard, as you now have come to know and love. And we're going to be talking about some really interesting topics. Before we do, just want to let you know that we are broadcasting live to LinkedIn Live, to Facebook Live, to YouTube Live, and soon we'll start broadcasting as well to X, formerly Twitter. If you are not following us in those channels, make sure you do. We're going to be adding some links underneath whatever media you're watching us on so that you can have those links available to you and follow us. We also have a great podcast where we're continuing to add content on a regular basis. It includes all of the great speakers we've had and the material that we continue to cover to get you to be able to work better together. So that podcast is the Agile Pulse. We will include that. It is in your favorite podcast, whether that be Apple or whether it be Spotify or Amazon or any other favorite media that you choose. So with that, Marcelo, you've been very patient watching me do some shameless self-promotion here. For those of you that are not familiar, Marcelo is our Agile guru who goes back to, Marcelo, I'm not going to say the year because I think that might date you, although you should wear that with a badge of honor, right? That beer has been earned over the years. So let me stop there and tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, for those of you that might have not tuned in before and are getting to know you for the first time.
Well, yeah, I as people who know me already know I don't like to talk about myself, but in a nutshell, in the software industry for about 40 years, ex-IBM, a bunch of other places. I'm a certified Scrum trainer, registered Scrum trainer, a Scrum at Scale trainer, accredited Kanban trainer, et cetera, few other things to go along with that. And, one of the enterprise coaches at Agile Genesis, of course, as you can see, wrong side. I'm involved with the community, up on LinkedIn all the time. I'm not up on all the other platforms. I'm not a streamer, but I like to get my hands dirty with folks in the day-to-day. So this is kind of a treat to go live with the community. Thanks for having me.
Marcelo, I'm going to add to that. By the way, we're live. This is unscripted. This is us talking and contributing with regards to the material that we are going to be chatting about. So in that, as you were saying that, it occurred to me, the first time I met you decades ago at this point, someone came to me and said, hey, you got to meet Marcelo. Marcelo is just someone who wants the community to move forward. He's somebody who's trying and is involved in getting the Agile community in South Florida and is always willing to give. And those were the type of people that I was trying to connect with. And your name came up as one of those top people I needed to connect with. So I kudos to that and reinforcing what you just said as far as community connection, because this is not new to you. You've been at this for quite a while.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not new. This year, October will mark 10 years since I first spoke at a conference for the Latin American Agile community, and 11 years since I gave my first conference talk on product ownership, as I was a chief product owner at the time. And product owners was a thing that people were like, well, what is that? What do those people do? And so I wanted to share a little bit of my experience and my pain points. And not too long after that, I decided I can make a bigger impact going out and training and coaching folks on how to do this day to day. And so as this is what we do at Agile Genesis.
I love it. Thank you for being the contributor that you are, for always looking out for the Agile community. And you're not just doing this out for purposes of getting the word out. You're in the trenches. You're working with companies. You're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And we want to talk about that. So tell us Today, we're going to talk about the future of Agile coaching, but you've got some stuff relating to Agile coaching that's on your mind. You even covered it at a recent conference, and I thought, wow, what a great topic to really shed some light on what is Agile coaching and what might be some of the trends that we're observing. So what's on your mind, Marcelo?
Well, actually, yeah, it's a lot. If folks have kept up on LinkedIn, they might have run across a hashtag called "No Such Thing as an Agile Coach," and really, what that stands for as a placeholder to having a conversation about what's actually needed out there, because the fact is that what many folks believe an agile coach is, okay, I'll say it this way, has lost some of its essence. Okay, certain things have gone, way afield of what was, even from as far back as 2003. Okay, because I've actually started working on something I affectionately call the agile coaching time machine. So I started researching this thing, and going back to 2003 in writings of folks like Mary Poppendieck, who wrote the book Lean Software Development. Okay, very well known from the lean areas. Spoke about this, from the perspective of someone who coaches agile or agility into a team. Okay, starts with knowing the practices applicable to that team's work domain. Okay, back then specifically they were talking about software development using extreme programming, XP, and so on and so forth. Okay, but folks like herself and others were quite emphatic that an agile coach should have a good working knowledge, okay, of what practices apply in a particular work domain. Now, a lot of people today say, well, agile is not just about software, and I'm one of those folks, even though it's the manifesto for agile software, agile manifesto for software development. I believe that it is applicable outside of software development, and therefore, if we extrapolate those original ideas, okay, an agile coach, okay, must understand the technical, if you will, practices of the work domain for where they're coaching. Okay. I know that challenges a lot of people. And I think we're having some technical difficulties here. So I'm not really sure where folks got.
We have two of me,
Yeah.
and you were constantly on audio, so I don't think anyone lost. It was
Okay.
more video based, but keep calm and carry on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, we'll have a call with the stream support after the call. So I think where I got to is that we need to have a broader conversation. Okay. Some people, are of the opinion that, we need to apply many other disciplines, and that's great. I'm not saying anything contrary to that. I'm saying that where a lot of folks have concentrated these days, their practice of coaching, okay, has not has not really been helping of late. I mean, if we look at where the job market has gone and where things have progressed, okay, the call, the need for the ask of agile coaches has progressively reduced, okay, over the last few years. Okay, the numbers speak for themselves. Okay, the market has shifted. Okay, and so must we, if you will. I mean, I'm not one of those agile is dead people. I want to go on the record. Okay, Ernesto, I'm not one of those agile is dead people. Agile is not dead. I'm just saying there are conversations to be had. Some people are open to them. Unfortunately, others are not. Okay, but but the facts are what the facts are. The numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, so I think we need to peel that back a little. But before we do, let's start at the beginning, as they say. Because we went into agile coaching, we went into some of the potential numbers. And one of the things we try to do here is to speak the language of the individuals out there, right? We want to make sure that we're getting those that might not be as seasoned or as familiar with these terms, and that we're also are talking about, or we're talking to the people that have a lot of experience and might be familiar with some of the trends you're talking about. First and foremost, what is agile coaching? Why do we refer to it as agile coaching? Why not business coaching? Why not personal coaching? What about agile coaching makes it a different role?
Oh, that in of itself is also an onion, because it's all those, but it's all those in different amounts. Okay. And the point is this: if we look at any coaching function at its core, it must understand the domain of play. Okay. They must understand the domain that they're working in. Okay. If you're in sales, you must understand the fundamentals of the domain of sales. Marketing, likewise. Finance, likewise. Okay. On top of that, you may add, okay, applying the values and principles, okay, described in the Agile Manifesto. Those are in addition to, not instead of, okay? And you have to find some sort of balance between those things, okay? Then apply them to the individual, to the group of individuals, to become a team, okay? To teams of teams, and therefore organizations as a whole, okay? So you start adding different sets of skills as you grow the domain of play, okay? But agile coaching at its core started with understanding the domain of play itself.
And with the purpose of supporting members, teams, and the organization in becoming agile, or in building more agility, right?
Being more adaptable, being more responsive. Some folks have said, oh, but this is about speed. Yeah, well, that's kind of a misnomer, if you will. Speed is a resultant of being more responsive and more adaptable. Okay, it is an outcome of it.
I love that. We are establishing all of the benefits that come out of that, but at its foundation, an agile coach simply helps individuals, members, it helps teams, and it helps the organization in becoming more agile. Now, how and what? Let's talk a little more about that, Marcelo. Before we do, author, welcome. Thank you for the kind words there. And Christopher, the international focus. Christopher's pointing that out. Welcome, Christopher. The actual the center of value and where that's coming and how we are expanding. Right. This is coming from the prior conversation that agile is changing. I was going to say, but I think just saying the words puts things in people's minds. But look, we are here to tackle the tough issues, to talk about what we see. And the commentary that agile is dead, I actually see that, Marcelo, as an extremely positive thing for agile. Now, what's Ernesto talking about here? If someone is saying that, how could that be positive? I interpret that. What people really mean by that is that agile has become so embedded into how we are working that the conversation of agile as an implementation, it's becoming less and less specific and more about a business way of producing what we produce, right? So it's now operational. It's part of our everyday business language. So when we talk about an agile coach, we might be talking about a business coach or an enterprise coach or an organizational process improver. And
Mhm.
all of these things were terms that a few years ago were not in the same conversation, because we were working at a team level. We were working with individuals trying to adopt a new method of working. Today is really about, hey, if you haven't adopted Agile in some way in your organization,
Mhm.
you're simply behind. Like,
Yeah.
either catch up or you're in another place at this point, right?
Right.
We're talking
So
about how do you improve that in such a way
Mhm.
that gives you more
Yeah,
agility.
yeah. It's come. In other words, it's come back around. Okay, because it started with that in mind. Okay, it went off to wherever it's gone off to, and it's coming back. I mean, I hate to say it, it's back, and the thing is this, that from where the first references to what this agile coach person does to where it's gone now, okay, has gone so far afield from these things, okay, that when someone mentions an agile coach, okay, it's almost it's almost as if they're expected or thought of as a life coach, and nothing could be farther from the truth. Okay, because we are trying to, at the end of the day, get to business outcomes. Okay, yeah, we want our people to be happy in their job environment and to work cohesively, but at the end of the day, okay, well, as Christopher mentioned, what is the center of value? What is the value an agile coach brings is in helping the teams, the individuals and the teams, deliver something valuable. Okay, to be able to do that, part of their tool set must be an understanding of that domain of play. Okay. You don't hire a coach. If I mean, it's a lossy metaphor, but we don't hire a coach for a sports team, which many agile coaches like to use the metaphor of sports coach. So I'll borrow it. You don't hire a sports coach who does not understand the fundamentals of play of that sport. Okay. I'm sorry, but Ted Lasso is just a TV show. I'll say it that way. Okay. It's a nice TV show, but Ted Lasso is just a TV show. So there you go.
And let's stay on that. How many teams win championships without a coach? The answer is zero. I mean, that team is pretty much calling it in,
Yeah.
and why play the game at that point, right? So, and I want to be careful that I'm not overselling the need or the role of a coach for bias reasons,
Absolutely.
but it's important for people to understand that this is a critical element of being successful
Mhm.
in your agile implementation or in continuing to increase your agility
Mhm.
as an individual, as a team, or as an organization. It is that imperative. Teams that don't have coaches don't win. I have a physical trainer that coaches me. That trainer, who is the most buffed individual I've ever seen and the most physically fit and committed individual, has a coach himself,
Yeah.
because he needs the additional inspection and
Right.
adaptation that comes with doing the thing that he needs to focus on.
Right.
And you can
So
only get that through an observation, inspection, and
right.
adaptation through a
So,
coach.
so let's look at that for a second. Kate, would we hire someone to help us become fit as a human who does not understand the domain of play of becoming fit? We
Agree
wouldn't.
with you on that for
We
100%.
wouldn't. Okay. And so therefore, when we're looking for someone who we're going to label agile coach for the purpose of this conversation, we're looking for someone who's fit for the domain of play. Okay. That doesn't mean that they don't carry interpersonal skills, okay, to inspire, okay, that can empathize with our team members, okay, with our executives. That does not mean they do not possess those skills. They should. Absolutely. Okay. But at the end of the day, if we apply those skills to the lessening of the understanding of the domain of play, okay, we I hate to say it, we get a lot of what we're getting today. Okay. I talk to literally hundreds of these folks, okay, online. I listen to their conversations privately. They tell me confidentially things that are going on in their enterprises. And frankly, it's very disheartening. It's
And
very
there are many techniques to do this, Marcelo. It's important. By the way, Christopher made a great comment, right? Dave Thomas introduced that term, that Agile's dead, as I think, almost a shocker statement so that people would pay attention to what he was saying. But it was back in 2015, and here we are, right, with nothing but other growth. So
yeah.
I say poo-poo that, and let's move on.
Yeah, we needed to get over the phrase. Let's
Yeah.
get on to helping the businesses get to the outcomes that they're trying to get to.
Yeah. Benefits of agile coaching. Let's talk about that, because we talked about what it is. We talked about the potential challenges that that the stigmas might be facing. But I want to introduce a few, and I'm just going to mention. I've got 5 fingers in my hand, right? So number one, agile adoption throughout the organization. An agile focuses on ensuring that there's agile adoption. Number two, that there is organizational alignment, that individuals are aligned to the purpose, and how we're doing this is something that we practice together. That the organization becomes responsive, following along the main pillars of agility, and that the quality of what we're producing is built in, right? That we don't have a forced sense of progress, and then that we are continuing to improve the team's performance, the team dynamic. Those are simple things to say, but very difficult, and each one of them has many, many ramifications, right? When we talk about agility, when we talk about an agile coach, I think also what murks the water is the idea that there are different levels when it comes to agile coaching. You might have a team agile coach, and you might have an enterprise agile coach. 2 different skill sets, very, very varying degrees of experience. And to your point, even the domain is a dimension that plays a factor into those. So I want to pause there for a second on the different types of coaching, because I think another part that gets confused a lot, Marcelo, is the role of the Scrum Master and the Agile coach. Well, the Scrum Master, we're continuing to up the bar. We're raising the bar on the Scrum Master role. The Scrum Master is accountable now for team performance. The Scrum Master is an Agile coach. The Scrum Master is a trainer for the team, because they own the improvements that the teams can make. So why an Agile coach and why a Scrum Master? What's the difference?
Well, a lot of people like to say, well, a Scrum Master can only coach Scrum. Well, that means that they have a shallow understanding of Scrum, because Scrum is inclusive. In other words, if you are going to bring in some Kanban into a Scrum team, if the Scrum Master feels, or the team decides that they can benefit from it, Scrum Master helps them integrate it. Okay, there's no reason why not to. Okay, that's why I'm saying that this term Agile coach has become something different than what it was originally spoken of to be. Because when they first were even talking about it, they weren't even talking about Scrum. Like I said, they were talking about just, hey, you've got a software development team who's trying to use XP. Okay, help them create their software using sound software development practices, coach them in what sound development practices are, coach them in improving their software development practices, okay? And then work with the organization to get rid of things out of their way. Remove the word software and replace it with a different domain of the company, or the different domain of the business. Guess what? That's what a coach does, okay? And technically speaking, a Scrum Master could technically do that in different domains.
This sounds complicated. This sounds like a lot of terms are being thrown around, and I'm concerned that people might be getting a little more confused than aligning their understanding here. Let's talk about the activities of an Agile coach. What does that mean for me? I am a leader now, paying someone to do Agile coaching. Go do Agile coaching. What am I expecting that to be? What does an Agile coach do? Right? And there are many things. These come off very easily for us, but let's outline them in a very brief second. We have author chiming in, the leading schedule organization design, change management, lean budget, and HR, essentially talking about these particular domain areas and areas that agility is now found in, that go way beyond software development, which was the origins, right? Those were the infant days. Now we're in the mature state, And these things include many different things. Author is also pointing out the culture aspect and how important it is for an agile coach to be in tune with the culture, whether it be corporate or whether it be national culture that they're coaching, right? So there's quite a lot going on here. Mentoring and advising and guiding as well. Thank you, Kamlesh, for throwing that in. It's an extremely complex role. I think we're getting the picture here on all of the things that they need to touch on and continue to be observant about and improve. And how they do that in a practical way. How do they do that? I see you're chiming in there, Marcelo. Good. Thank you. An agile coach, you might find an agile coach running a workshop in an organization, right? To get the teams to improve. And those workshops could be various. There's quite a number of workshops. They might even be creating their own. In fact, it's ideal if it's customized to make sure that the team is getting what they need or that the leaders are getting what they need. Walkthroughs, that they're performing the necessary walkthrough to inspect and adapt, that they're observing the people on the job, whether that be events or whether that be individuals dynamic, whatever, one-on-one. When I am involved in coaches, I make sure that we have those one-on-one sessions with the individual so that I can provide feedback in a safe environment and we can agree on action plans, right? Coming back to that sports metaphor where you're constantly are helping the individuals and the team to improve, being very, very, very detailed about that. So we're tracking that, we're pivoting, we're standardizing where things have worked. We're trying to get other teams to adopt those, and we're getting those things to grow throughout the organization. Woof. My head is blown. I'm going to pause there for a second. Marcelo,
it is an incredibly heady subject. It's certainly not a subject we're going to crack in half an hour, 45-minute talk. This is okay, but the point is that we are in a situation right now, economically especially, taking this into consideration, because we're all doing this for gainful employment, okay? You are doing this for gainful employment, okay? Where we need to understand that things have changed. These things that we're talking about, guiding, mentoring, advising, okay? Those things are important, okay? But they do not take the place of teaching certain things to the teams that we play with on how to apply agility, okay? Because especially, okay, with almost any team that you might encounter, it's enough for them to start to understand these values and principles talked about in the Agile Manifesto, okay? They're going to look at some of these things and they're going to say, holy mackerel, okay? That's a lot. Okay, 12 principles, 4 values. Okay, let's talk about how you get your practices in order. Let's talk about how we improve the flow of what you're delivering. Okay, not necessarily going faster, but let's improve the outcomes for the people that you're doing some work for. Let's look at how we work.
Results.
And to that. Okay, and what happens is, and I'm just going to say it, we've lost focus on what's actually needed. Yes, we as coaches can help those people around them and empathize with them, okay? And I'm going to disagree with Kamlesh, okay? Teaching and coaching is 2 different things. If you've ever taken a martial art, okay, you will know that they are intertwined. Okay, you will know that they're intertwined. Okay, if you've ever played on a sports team, you will know that they're intertwined. Okay, you are taught a play, then you are coached through playing the play and then adapting the play. Okay, there's enough evidence of that. Okay, so to kind of bring back to focus to where we started, it's understanding that the nature of coaching.
And Marcelo, I think it's important because you're talking about
this. Go ahead.
Yep.
No, go ahead. Oh, I think we're being hit with another technical glitch here.
So I think it's important to point out, because you're pointing out all these things in such a way that it flows very easily for you, and you've gotten this knowledge through various sources. There are Agile certification coaching Agile certifications that go through that, right? We at Agile Genesis have a 5-day registered Agile coach training. 5 days. We go through personality assessments and approaches and conflict resolution and getting results and on and on and on and on. A lot of folks tend to simply be standing in the wrong place at the wrong time and become this Agile coach by the fact that they're somewhat familiar with maybe Scrum and now they're in the role of coaching. It's important to also validate that you need to sharpen the saw if you are in a position to coach an organization. And that goes back to your point of employment and value added and the different things that we're doing as Agile coaches, which do include training, which do include coaching, which do include mentoring, which are separate things put together become one
and I'll go
in how we are offering value to customers.
And I'll give you a clear example. Okay, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have heard the phrase product coach, but now you hear it a lot. Organizations are looking for very specifically skilled people who, hey, they understand Agile. Yup, they understand Agile. Okay, but do you know how to coach product owners? Yeah, okay. Businesses are asking for these sorts of couplings of skills more and more. Okay. And part of why I put that hashtag out there, Ernesto, is because, okay, as Agile coaches, I'm going to say it. I know that people are going to disagree with it. We missed that signal from businesses that as Agile coaches, we need to focus on the domain of play and be skilled in different domains of play, as well as guiding and mentoring people and conflict resolution. Those are in addition to domain of play skills, because results in these things are really what businesses are paying us for at the end of the day. Let's be honest. Okay. The business people that hire an Agile coach are coaching or rather hiring that person to help their teams get to results. Okay.
And I'm gonna add to that, Marcelo. I'm not sure if I'm adding or if you disagree with this. In thinking about that point, I think the domain expertise has been downplayed for up until this point because there's so many low-hanging fruits for teams to improve that by the time we get to the domain-specific material, this is about sharpening the saw to the point where we are now using a diamond to make that cut even that much better. In other words, there's so much to address every day that companies can improve dramatically if they only applied it. And those things tend to be about the practices, about the process, about how the team's dynamic are treated. That, hey, if I do this, I can get to hyper productivity. And then we can move into the sales, the HR, the marketing, all of the other elements that are going to allow us to spread that throughout. And even at the product specific domain, where now we can sharpen it to really, really be more customer centric for what we do. And I certainly am not downplaying that. What I am proposing is that there's so much to cover out there for every company I work with. And that is not saying something bad about them. That is just talking about the state of improvement that we have ahead of us in a good way, in an optimistic way, how much work we still have to do. And then that domain knowledge certainly being an additional element that can improve us even further. Does that jive? Does that resonate?
That jives, because I mean, if you look at just the first value of the Agile Manifesto, I mean, the preamble says we're uncovering better ways by doing it and helping others to do it. What is doing it? Doing whatever you're doing for business, doing for work, and then helping others to ascertain and determine how they can better do it as well. Okay? I mean, it's right there at the beginning. And unfortunately, we gloss over it. Why? Because we are currently stuck in a mode, okay, where we've gone. I'll say it. We've gone too far afield from why did we start doing these things in the first place? Okay, it's to get to better customer outcomes. Okay,
We
and
also be looking at a shift in skill set. Could we be looking at a paradigm here where additional skills that are necessary to thrive, to help a company thrive, might be missing out there by individuals who are in a position to coach? So you've got some data. How many companies have been laying off people, and by what amounts?
wow. Well, from some research that Art and I did, okay, from November 2022 to just last month. I mean, this is not counting the layoff from Microsoft just yesterday, okay? From about 100 companies that are headquartered in the United States and in Canada, we found there's over 600,000 IT related jobs that have not been replaced since November 2022. Over 600,000 jobs. Okay.
Is that a shift in the skill sets that are needed? Is that being reallocated toward maybe AI oriented investments? Is it,
some
what do we
some
attribute that to? Is it simply cost cutting? Is it efficiency improvements that are being made at the sacrifice of individuals? What do you think is happening?
Well, I'll put it to you I'll put it to you this way. Last Wednesday, oddly enough, before we were able to turn in our PowerPoint for the conference, Business Insider published an article where they came out and admitted outright, "Hey, United States, we're in a white collar recession." Okay, companies, for multiple different factors, are just not hiring, okay, white collar workers at the rate that they were before. Blue collar jobs, pretty healthy, okay, pretty healthy, but white collar jobs not. What you said may be one of those things. More efficiencies, optimizations, okay, do more or do as good with less people. We can apply AI, okay, but another aspect of it also is just frankly the economy. Interest rates are at an incredible high given the market that we're in, and that's actually paused a lot of investment that businesses would have otherwise put into certain initiatives. Okay, I honestly think that AI at this point is probably a finger in the dike for things. Okay, I think it's a finger in the dike. Okay,
Interesting.
limitations in what it can actually do for software developers, okay, are being found more and more and more. Yesterday, I just saw a podcast from one software developer, longtime software developer, well-known company. I'm not gonna name them, not gonna out them. They're on YouTube. You can find for itself. But he came out and said, "Hey, look, there's no million line of code product that is using AI in any great amount. This thing can't even close the braces between two statements correctly." Okay, and this is a software developer with 20 years experience in the field, so not a newbie. Okay, not a newbie. So AI has a little something to do with it. Interest rates have a little bit to do with it. Let's be blunt, we're dealing with two wars right now. We're not going to go political.
Christopher is making a great point, right? Scrum Masters now have 4 to 5 teams. Other teams are left to figure it out without any dedicated and shared guidance. I go back to my original analogy on that sports team. Look, some business leaders are just showing up to play a little. Others are showing up to win the whole thing, to go to the big game and take the cup home. You're not going to get there by buying one and getting one free every time. You're just not going to win the championship without the dedicated individuals that are going to make those teams improve. You can try, but it just defies all logic that you would be able to do that. So if you want to win the Super Bowl, let's take the American football favorite pastime, and if that is really what your objective is, to have a great team, well, then you need to give your people the right amount of time to succeed. You need to give them the right coaching. You need to give them the right training. You need to provide them with all of those proper resources. Set them up to win. Don't set them up to fail. Thank you, Christopher. That's a key element. And then recapping, Marcelo, I think all of this is sort of come to this theme that is resonating with me now, and that is Agile coaches, you need to add value. This isn't about holding hands and kumbaya and everybody's having a great time. This is about business value, and it's serious stuff. It's really about how do you improve your teams to be able to do this in such a way that they are able to deliver.
I'll go this route. I'll say it this way. Go out there. Okay, the argument saying, oh, the Scrum Masters need to be technical. Many people say no. And I'm like, well, you know what? Why can't you? Why would you not? If understanding the domain of play of the people that I would presume, wish to be helping, if you're helping uncover better ways, which I would assume an Agile coach would be wanting to do, why would you not invest in yourself in acquiring more skills in different domains of play? So why would you not learn the technical domain of software if you're in software? It doesn't mean you have to go out there and be an expert in R, okay, or Python. That's not what I'm saying, okay? But understand that domain of play better. You're not going to coach them to high performance, focusing on life coaching. There, I said it.
I love it. Marcelo, I love the beer. I always say it. So I got to have a small segment where I ask you to be the Grand Wizard. What am I thinking, Marcelo?
Oh, man, you got me this time. Today you got me. Today you got me. I don't know. I don't know. I could guess, but you could check out Agile Coaching Genesis, look up our services, our classes, this is what we do, man.
Sharpening the saw increases value delivery, right?
Yeah,
I know you couldn't pull that one out because it was too wordy.
Yeah,
that
and the shameless plug. I mean, if you're looking for some help, we are well experienced dealing with remote teams and distributed teams. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And author makes another great comment: cutting costs based on numbers and not considering outcomes right now is one of the problems or one of the challenges that we have to get through. So outcomes. For those that might not be familiar, right, there's a difference between output and outcomes. Outcomes is where the good stuff is, the value that we seek. We need to define those, and we need to help organizations to deliver those. That's our job. So it is not to again, be life coaches, as Marcelo puts it. That's certainly good, and it does drive. Happy people do produce more and better products, but it must be combined with other aspects that are really about delivering tangible benefits to those organizations we serve. So with that, Marcelo, I think we are good for this session. We're ramping up at Agile Genesis for our summer vacation. So we're going to start having these on a scheduled basis. We might miss a week, so we apologize. If you're looking forward to our weekly broadcast, next week we will have Peter Borsella. We're going to talk about a great topic. We're going to talk about dependencies and how that can significantly impede the performance of teams. And then we will give you as much as we can through our slow period, as the team needs to also get some rest and sharpen their saw. So we look forward to more. Marcelo, you're the best. We love having you. I love having these conversations. So thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again. And hey, for everybody who joined us, thanks for listening in. I know this has been a controversial conversation. Please keep the conversation going with others out there. Okay.
Love
All
it.
the best.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Thank you.